So what do we got, guys? Anybody? Anybody with a scenario? No? It's
I'm still having trouble keeping people on the phone longer than 30 seconds with the expireds.
all right. So Shannon, you are having trouble keeping people on the phone for longer than 30 seconds. And the nature of the people you're calling right now are expireds, FISBOs, both.
Expireds.
All right. So you're calling expireds and you're having trouble keeping them on the phone for longer than 30 seconds.
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to role play with us what you're doing with an expired, and we'll kind of see where we can, if we can, all of us can chime in and feel like maybe where you're losing them or offer anything. And I'll team you up with somebody that's doing well with expireds. Are you willing to do that? I know you're driving.
Yeah.
All right. So who wants to be the expired seller for Shannon? And so her challenge is she's been calling a lot of expireds and she's having a hard time keeping them on the phone for longer than 30 seconds. So I know we have Gina's going to start calling expireds. I know John, Amy, if anybody wants to be that expired seller. All right. Looks like I'm going to be your expired seller. John, you unmuted. You want to do it?
I mean, if nobody was going to do it, I mean, I'm not the best at role playing, but I'll give it a shot.
So let's give it a shot. Maybe that's going to help Shannon. All right. So Shannon, so you're going to call John. Anything we need to know about him as an expired listing? Is it new or is it old?
I'm sorry. That's why I have my camera off. They're mostly recent expireds.
Okay. So a recent expired residential. And you're just going to kind of go ahead. Whenever you're ready, go ahead on in, give him a call, and we'll see if we can pick up on anything. Okay. Go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi. How are you?
Good. How can I help you?
This is Shannon with Beachfront Realty. I'm looking for the owner of 123 Main Street.
Yeah. How can I help you?
Hi. I saw that your property just came off of the market. What's the status with that? Are you still interested in selling, or did you get it sold?
Yeah, no, I actually didn't sell. I'm probably gonna put it back on the market. Probably gonna do a couple of renovations and then, we'll throw it back on MLS.
Okay, perfect. What kind of renovations are you thinking about doing?
Wood flooring and then kind of redo the carpet in the bathrooms. I know, I feel like I put it on the market a little bit, too rough of condition.
Yeah, I hear you. Everybody wants the carpet gone, and the flooring's not too much to get done, so that could be a good idea. When are you looking to have that taken care of?
I want to get it sold, by the beginning of next year at least. So I'm trying to get it done as soon as possible. I'm interviewing contractors now.
Okay, perfect. Is there any time that maybe I can come by and take a look around at things, see if I can recommend some things maybe you should make some repairs but not do too much?
Sure, that'd be fine.
Okay, perfect. Are you available tomorrow at 10 a.m. or does it sound better after work around 6?
Tomorrow after 6 would be ideal.
Okay, perfect. Sounds great. I look forward to meeting you then, John. Thank you.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.
When you said you're bad at role playing, you're just a nice, easy seller all the time. I know. John, on the phone. Yeah. Don't we wish they were all like that? Shannon, how'd you feel with that conversation? He kind of didn't throw you any curveballs. I mean, just, he wanted to renovate, then put back on the market. You closed for the appointment. I thought it was good. How'd you feel with that?
I think it went pretty well.
Okay. You got the appointment, right? So we're always looking for a yes of some kind. Ideally we want an appointment. If we can't get an appointment, we're looking for yes, follow up with me. Yes, send me information, some kind of yes end, right? So John, as the expired seller, I mean, how'd you feel? You just kind of, I mean, you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to fix some stuff and then put it back in the market with an agent, right?
Yeah, I for the life couldn't think of a scenario, so I was just kind of just spitballing there.
Yeah, well, that kind of so usually what happens when you contact the expired and they say, hey, yeah, expired, and I'm still gonna sell. That's kind of when, well, Have you decided, on an agent yet? Right. So are you going to put it back on the market for sale by owner, or are you going to list it with an agent, relisting with the same agent? What's going on there? Right. Because that's usually what happens. Like he might still have in his head to list with the same agent. I thought it's interesting for him to say, I'm going to be doing some renovations, right? So maybe he got some feedback while he was on the market. I would have gotten to that conversation, said, hey, well, what's causing you to want to do these renovations now? I mean, right now, if there's a way for you to get your house sold quickly without having to spend the money on those renovations, would you take that offer, right? Because don't do anything yet. Let's get together. I'm going to show you some stuff. I have some information. This is when it comes down to your tools, right? You have some information. By the way, here's an article that tells you what you can expect on a return from what work you do, right? So what percentage return? Because some things it might make sense to do, some things it might not make sense to do. You might not get the return. And then also determining which direction the market's going. So what if he spends all that money to fix stuff and then the market dips a little bit? He's expecting to get a little bit more, and then it dips, and now he's getting right what he was, and he spent all that money. But I thought that was good. Shannon, I mean, where are you getting hung up for the closing for the appointment? And where are they getting you off the phone typically? At what point in your conversation? Is it the same point every time?
My house, or they already like their realtor, they're relisting with them.
Okay, so it's you broke up in the beginning there. So it's usually they already like their realtor. They're going to give it to the same agent. That I got that. What else?
Sometimes they say they're not selling.
They're not selling anymore. Yeah.
And in the case, I usually ask them what's changed their mind.
Yeah. I understand that, life situations happen. And, a lot of times the question I would ask an expired is like, hey, I get you're not selling anymore. If I would have brought you, an offer last week when you were still on the market, would you have taken that offer? Right. So if I brought you an offer and they were giving you what you were looking for, would you still have taken that offer? That kind of smokes out the reasons of them why not, because they might say, no, I wouldn't have taken the offer because I no longer am going to take that job in California. Or, well, yeah, I would have taken an offer if a good offer came in, because sometimes their reason for not selling is that they didn't hear an offer that they liked, or they didn't have a good experience. And for that, that's exactly why we have to meet, and, and if that's another thing about, using the same agent. And does anybody have a good, is anybody really good at dealing with that objection when somebody says they're considering using the same agent again? No. See, Amy, I know Amy's got some stuff. Amy, so let's say this. So Shannon's getting hung up. She's having a hard time.
My usual comeback on that is something to the effect of, I always acknowledge it and just be like, oh, that's really, really good. Who are you working with? And then they say and I'll say something like I've come up with somebody, they weren't expired. This was just in Circle Prospect. Be like, oh, that's a really great agent, but if I can, are you cemented in working with them, or would you be open to possibly exploring other options? You just really never know what can happen down the line. If it's something where I could virtually guarantee you maybe even making possibly more money or something in that line, I just usually talk them through it. And then they say then I'll say is that worth maybe us keeping in touch? And then they usually acknowledge it and they'll say yes. Or, I've had a couple where they're just like, no.
Yep. Good point. But then you go for it. So it goes back to when we talk about our neuro-linguistic programming model, right? So pacing and leading, but Amy's talking about acknowledging it. That's pacing, right? So, hey, I'm just going to list with the same agent again. Hey, I get that. Well, you're already listed with them for 3 months or 6 months, right? And so I would say something that's a pace that we know to be true. Well, and, I guess, if you're going to use them again, I imagine that, they're a great agent, right? You think they're a good agent, right? So you're just saying, hey, because obviously they already listed with them. They think they're a good agent if they're going to list with them again. And now the place that I want to lead them is to possibly think that it's a good idea to have something to compare it to, so then I might go into, well, a lot of times when I make a big decision and, most of my clients, when they make a big decision like this, it's good to have something to compare it to. And I mean, I'd love to offer you a second perspective. That way, for sure you're making the right decision. I mean, that's typically what, the smartest people do when they make a decision, isn't it? Right. So you're kind of saying in a way, without telling them that they're not smart if they don't do that, that they're kind of, that doesn't sound like a good idea, does it? I mean, really. So, and kind of getting into questions like, well, like what are, what's going to happen? What's different this time around? What's going to be different this time around? To kind of creating that, creating curiosity, creating doubt in them. And again, just getting them to agree to an appointment. And sometimes even before they answer. So, here, all I'm saying is like, let's look at the price. Let's look at the marketing strategy. At least you'll have something to compare it to. And then we'll be on our way, that's kind of, that's kind of what you want to look for. You want to look for paces and common ground to get them to agree to things. It's pacing and leading. Then you want to lead them, right? Shannon, you're going through the 5-day challenge right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the pacing and leading model where we're pacing, leading is where we want them to go, which is to agree to that it might be a good idea to talk to someone else. The next lead would be to agree to talk to me, right? And then I'm going to tie them down and close for the appointment, right? That's kind of the general model there. But yeah, I know it's hard. You can even write the stuff down as you're talking, as they're saying things, or what as to be true are paces. What do you know for sure that you guys will both agree on? What can you say that will get them to agree? Because when you get them to saying yes, right, then you get them to say yes to that it's a good idea to meet with someone else to compare, and that person can be you, right? Then you smile and say, when can we meet? What's a good time? But keep at it, keep going. If you talk to enough people, you're going to get people that say, sure, come on over. And as we talked about the other day, try some older expireds. There's less competition. See if you can, I know you're using RedX now, hop on with them, see if you could get some older expireds to get piped in there. They're easier to talk to sometimes. It's just because the market changed, right? So now you're calling them because the market changed. Hey, I saw you were asking this. The market's up. If you get that price, would you be looking to sell now, right? And there's less competition. There's less agents kind of hammering them. But awesome. Did you have any questions around that? I know you're ready to do this thing at 9 o'clock. You want to hang up right now and go call the expireds. I know. Big goals for this week. Anybody else? Anybody else have a scenario that they want to workshop or they want to hear workshopped? I know John's been calling the absentee owners. I don't know. You still doing that? You having success with that?
I'll be honest, I stopped for a while, but I'm starting up again.
COVID threw you off a little bit?
No, I just, I got lazy, if I'm being honest, and I just stopped calling.
Oh yeah, man, it happens to all of us.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm doing a lot of the follow-ups now, and I'm kind of seeing like if I would have kept going, the fruits of my labor would have been a lot better. But so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be more consistent now.
Sometimes we drop the ball right before kind of things start to blossom, and that's the issue, right? So it's like comparing it to gardening. We're watering seeds, and we get lazy, we decide to stop watering, and that's right when the plant would have started to grow, right? So anybody have a scenario that they want to workshop, want to give a shot?
I was hoping I could see. So after I send them the CMA, because that's what my value offer, if you will, that's what I get them to do. I send them CMA, get an email, send it over, schedule a follow-up call. That follow-up call, I feel like is not something I'm really great at.
Okay.
As far as like taking it from, hey, this is the range of your CMA. Now, and then pivoting from that to like asking for the appointment, and you know what I mean? That's
Okay.
where I'm struggling right now.
So you're having a first call where you're like, hey, are you curious to know how much you could get for your property? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then you send over a market analysis, and your market analysis is giving them, is it giving them a range, a price range of like what's similar to there? So, okay.
Yeah.
And then you're calling for feedback. Okay. So does anybody want to workshop with this with John? Being an absentee investor. All right, now. All right, so I'll do this one with you. All right, so yeah, just give me a call and just address me as if we already spoke. You sent over that CMA. You're getting feedback, and is there anything in particular I need to know or information you want me to have?
No, not really. Just play it out however you would like.
What type of property is it?
Single family, usually 3-bed, 2-bath.
Oh, so it's a single family. It's an investment. It's a single family residential investment.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Usually I do at least 5 years of ownership. So, you've been there at least 5 years. So,
Gotcha.
and that's pretty much it. Ring.
Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, who's this?
Hey, it's Sean over at eXp Realty. We spoke yesterday about, the possibility of selling your home. I sent you a CMA.
Oh, hey, John. Yeah, I did take a look at that, and it's the numbers weren't as high as I thought. I mean, I've owned this property for a bit. I mean, it's got really nice cash flow, and I mean, as the tenants are paying, I'm not looking to sell it, but if I was able to get more and roll it over into maybe a multifamily, I would definitely do that. But it didn't, I wasn't that impressed with what things are selling for right now.
Yeah, yeah, no, I hear you. Chris, as you know, I don't determine the market. The buyers do. But the price is always subject to change. That's why I'd rather, stop by in person, potentially take a look at the property. Because like I said, that is a range. If the property is good condition and it's ready to go, maybe we could get a little bit more money on there.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? I mean, how much more do you think we'd be able to get? Because I mean, just to bother the tenants and to go over there and take a look at it and then start showing it.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let me ask you a few questions about the home. How's the roof on it?
The roof is good. I mean, it's just I replaced it when I bought the house 5 years ago.
Okay.
And so the roof is still good. We still got some good roof.
Okay. And as far as like interior finishes, would you say it's like updated to 2021 standards?
Yeah, it's close. I mean, it's updated. It's got granite countertops and updated appliances and stuff like that. I don't know, I don't go in there too much. I'm not sure about the condition, but the nice people live in there. So
Okay. Yeah. Like you said that we're not too sure of the condition. So yeah, in order for me to get you an accurate price, I definitely would like to stop by. That way we could, know with accuracy how much it's worth. And if it's worth your time, maybe we could have that conversation about, helping you sell that property.
okay. I mean, do you think it's so that we don't have to bother the tenants? Do you think it'd be okay to not see the inside of the property?
No, no. I mean, ideally, I would have to see the inside. You know what I mean? But I mean, if it's not a possibility, then is there any way you could get some pictures of the inside?
Well, let me talk to them. And, I really hadn't considered this and I'll get back to you and we'll see if we can do that. Either I get in there with pictures or we meet there.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. That works for me. When would be a kind of good time for me to follow back with you and kind of?
I'll try to reach out. I'll try to reach out to them today. And so hopefully by tomorrow I'll have gotten in contact with them and we can go from there, I guess.
Awesome, awesome, yeah. All right, well, I'll give you a call tomorrow and then we'll take from there.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, John.
All right, bye. So
Yeah.
I forgot we were role playing at the end of that conversation. I was already thinking about the question I was going to ask you, which was,
Well,
I should have
I'm glad you
mentioned
pointed that out.
a lot of these people aren't investors. So that call was a little awkward because I don't really do, like a lot of them are just happen to be second homeowners.
They're not investors. They're just absentee owners.
They're absentee owners. Yeah, yeah. So like you when you were talking about like your
Oh, the
the
tenants.
cash flow and all that, I was like, all right, yeah, like you're way more prepared than any of the
Okay,
people
so
I'm following up with.
so you're in Georgia or North Carolina or something?
Georgia, yeah.
All right. So when you call out, because I know, like, I practice real estate in New York City. When I'm calling an absentee owner, no
Yeah.
one's got a vacation property in Queens. So all the absentee owners that I contacted in Queens were investors, were people that owned a property, moved away, and they rented out. So over by you, I guess there's more. There are people that just they have a second home or a vacation home. They're not rented. Is that more the situation?
They are rented, but they're not investors in the sense where they just happen to have a second house and they rent it out. Yeah.
Yes, that's like the
Yeah.
only house they own.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
Well, what's really interesting is I think there's a separate opportunity for you there, and the being that they don't think like investors. So they didn't. So in my situation, you called me, and I was like, "Hey, you know what? I have cash flow on a property. They're paying. And I'm not going to sell it for as much as I thought I would. I would have switched the conversation. Well, has anybody did a cash on cash analysis for you, or do you know what cap rate you're getting? I'd love to work that through with you. Are you familiar with what cap rate is? And almost kind of shifting gears to an investor training conversation where you tell them about cap rate, right? Cap rate or cash on cash return, and shifting the conversation to that. Because if you shift the conversation to that, what starts to happen to their thinking? They start to see you as what?
An expert in the field.
Yeah, an expert instead of just a salesperson, right?
Mhm.
So now I might calculate the cap rate. By the way, do you guys know how to calculate cap rate?
I do. Just gotta ask Google.
All right. So once you know the cap rate, if you know the cap rate and you know a cap rate for a given area. So for example, the area that you're calling, you might say people in that area are looking for a 7 or 8% cap rate, a 7% cap rate. Anything above that is good, right? Now you might find that somebody's got an 8% cap rate and that's good. Somebody's got a 5% that's not as good. And then you can have a conversation around that. And then you could talk to them about equity in a house, right? So if he's making cash and he's owned it for 5 years, he's probably got some equity in a house, this absentee owner. And then I would switch gears of the conversation. Well, have you ever considered, with the market being the way it is, meaning interest rates are at an all-time low, would you be willing to cash in that dormant equity on that house that you own and maybe buy another one if it's working so well? I mean, look, you're getting a 7% cap rate on that property. The interest rates, mortgage interest rates, are maybe about 4% for a second home. So why not turn that bank's 4% interest rate into a 7% return for you? That's plus 3% in your pocket. Have you considered that? No, well, that's exactly why we have to get together. You know what? I'm in the middle of a work day here. Let's schedule a time. We'll talk on Zoom, and I'll show you some things. I'll explain to you how it works, right? I'm kind of shifting gears to having an investor conversation with them.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. And I was big on events. So, and I was big on this first-time investors. And right now, there's a unique opportunity, right, guys? Because there's a low interest rate. And there's people that don't want to sell. So what if somebody doesn't want to sell? Does that mean that's not a potential client for you? No, that means there might be a huge opportunity for them to cash in that equity. Talk to your mortgage people, right? Cash in the equity, suck out the money from the home. Hey, great. If your home's worth $100,000 and you owe 20 on it, you're sitting on $80,000 of dormant equity. You could borrow up to 60 at a very low interest rate and buy something else with it. You can even take cash out of your house, put it into a mutual fund or something and get a bigger return than you're paying in interest, right? That's crazy. It's crazy for anybody that's sitting on the cash in their house. So, but you have to know stuff in order to have those conversations. You have to know what the cap rate is for a given area. You have to know what the interest rates are floating around for like a second home. And then you could bring your other experts into it. So I used to like to do first time investor seminars, which are people that I would call all of my sellers that didn't want to sell, but they had a lot of equity. And I would put together a little seminar. This was back when we used to meet in person, So who would I have do the seminar? I would have my loan officer, my mortgage person talk for 15 minutes. I would have an attorney talk for 15 minutes on how to create a legal entity to be an investor. I would have an accountant talk for 15 minutes on how to use real estate as a self-directed IRA or the tax benefits of it, right? So you have all these professionals, have a round robin where they kind of get, and that's a speaking engagement for them. And you're putting them in front of clients. So guess what? Who's paying for these things? All these guys, I would collect $1,000 from each of these people, have it at a catering hall, right? With some food and like a little networking event, first time investors, we'd give them away free stuff. We would teach them something. And now you have what? You have a whole network of people that might be considering investing. And guess what? When they do want to sell, or if they do want to buy something, you are the agent that brought it all together. So there's big opportunities like that are available that people aren't taking advantage of, right? So I like the absentee landlords. I used to work them a lot as well, but they were different. So consider what else, if somebody's an absentee landlord, if you're calling somebody that they own a house that they don't live at, what are the possibilities? That they're renting it? What else?
Vacant.
That it's vacant, right? That could be vacant. Great. What else?
Could be like a summer home or something like that.
Could be a summer home, a vacation home, some kind of seasonal. That's very common in my area in Florida, right? So I have a condo that I own and I only rent it out for the season, right? So for the rest of the year, it's empty because I can only rent it out once a year and it's seasonal makes sense. So in knowing the area that you're calling, when you're calling absentee owners, you have to know what's a majority of the people. Are they investors? Are they second homers? Are they vacation homeowners? And if they're renting it out, things to know are, what are the cap rate? What's the average cap rate for that area, for that kind of home? And what's what cap rate are they getting as a result of it, right? So the net operating income divided by the value will give you the cap rate, right? So if you guys want to know, if you guys need anything, just shoot me an email. I'll send you over the formulas and everything like that. But You want to start thinking like an expert consultant rather than just a salesperson that can, that can sell their property, right? That's how you're going to get people long-term to choose you over someone else. Because I will tell you that a majority of the people are not having these conversations, right? We're good to go. Any other questions or anything? Go ahead, Shannon. You're muted.
Okay, I noticed a lot of my expireds are under LLCs and company names. Do you think I should start off the conversation as they're an investor when I'm calling?
That could be one of the questions, I would save that question maybe for later on, after you find out what the deal is, what the status is on the home. No matter what they say, oh yeah, we're not selling, we're selling. Hey, I'm just curious. I noticed that you own it under an LLC. I was just curious. Do you own it yourself? Is that an investment group? Are you looking to buy any more properties? Tell me how I can help you, right? So what opportunities are you looking for? Because if they're business people, they're looking for opportunities. So I used to call investors, and investors hated, they all deal with agents the same way. If you have a buyer, bring them and I'll pay you. Great. Well, are you looking to buy any more properties? Are you looking to buy vacant land? So I dangle the carrot because what are investors looking for? And I might switch the conversation. Well, look, if I come across a really great deal on a mixed use property, because if they tell me they like mixed use property or they tell me they like whatever they say, if I come across a really good deal on a mixed use property, that, we can get you in there with no competition, would you want to be first on my list for me to tell you about that? And they're like, yeah, I want to be first. Well, okay, let me ask you, does it make sense for us to meet so that I can put you higher up on that list? It's exactly why we have to meet. Let's get together. Let's see if we want to work together like that. So that's the thing. It's, because they think that there's so many realtors out there, and there is, but how many realtors are bringing them deals, right? And then you're kind of telling them, I bring deals to investors, but that list is very small and very short. Do you want to get on that list? Do you want to kind of throw your hat in the ring to be one of my top 5 favorite investors? So. Which is, we all have our favorite people that we work with, the ones that buy from us over and over again, the ones that give us back the listing. That was one of my roles with investors. I'll sell you this house, but I expect you to give me the listing in return. Oh, you don't give the listing back? Okay, well, I move on to the next investor that does. That's no problem. And that has so you have to have certain kind of filters and parameters under how you work with people. But good question. Anything else, guys? All right, so go forth and prosper. It's 9 o'clock here on the East Coast, and it's a good time to start hitting those phones. And let me know if you need anything. Just feel free to reach out. You'll have my email. I'm pretty accessible. And again, I'm streaming these to YouTube. I stream them live, but then they're up there just so I don't have to record it and then download it and then upload it and all that kind of stuff. So you can access all these afterwards. And I think I started doing that a couple of weeks ago. So let me know if you need anything. And until then, until we meet again, everybody, hopefully you have a fantastic week. Okay.
Thank you. You too.